Hey everyone, hope everything is going well. I wanted to touch base on this really good video by Simon466 Cards. Make sure to take a look at this, examining the Nationals financial statements. Very good research regarding this. He put together the information that was on this one website, beta.candid.org, and then you could go through the financial statements of many years from the National, and he found some fascinating information on this one website. You could take a look at this yourself, or you could look at the information that he compiled here. And what was quite interesting was he was going through the numbers. He found this very good that he found this. So the event years in 2017, say tax years 2016, and the revenue equals the expenses to the dollar. Okay. That's weird because I've done financial statement preparation and I've never seen the revenue equal the expenses ever. If you can see the years prior, you could see, okay, the revenue's different than the expenses, as it usually is. For some reason, it broke even. And the year it broke even, the guy who was in charge of the National, he died of, he unfortunately passed away of brain cancer. And it's quite interesting. They started to spend more money. Now, someone would be like, hey, they could spend more money because guess what? It's a nonprofit. They have cash on hand and bada bing, bada boom. Okay, that seems like a legit reason, but how does revenue equal expenses? And this is what Simon said. If you have ever worked in finance or accounting, you know this is almost impossible. And the only way this happens if you are using a plug to balance the numbers. So basically, he's saying what I'm saying is that I've never seen this. Most other accountants probably have never seen this. And we're talking about millions of dollars. We're not talking about like $1,000 and it's a small related expense. It just happens to zero out. That's weird. That looks like some hanky panky to me. And what's quite interesting, he observed, is that, hey, they're making over $100,000. And then now zero, and now they're breaking even. While the revenue from 2016, it 3x'd. You're telling me revenue, top line revenue went up 3x, and you still can't make as much money as you did over what, a decade ago, where you made $124,000? That seems weird. Very weird. Now, I wanted to look at the Benford law. Well, what is the Benford law? Okay, let's take a look at this. And I first heard of the Benford law a couple of years ago. There were accusations that some hanky panky went down in an election that we all know of. And what some people were saying is that, hey, you could potentially use the Benford law to see if any hanky panky went down in the counties of America. Is it a normal distribution based on the Benford law, or is it not a normal distribution? That's where some people started to get suspicious. And regardless of whatever you think about that election, that doesn't matter. I want to look at this over here. Let's take a look at this. Benford's law says that the distribution of the leading digits of the numbers found in various real-life data sets is such that the digit 1 is the most frequent, appearing about 30% of the time. The digit 2 is less than frequent, about 18% of the time, and so on, all the way down to 9, which is the least frequent leading digit, less than 5% of the time. Okay, and then it goes on. And it says when you could use it. Now, here's the thing. In terms of low sample size, it's probably not the best use. And there are limitations to the Benford law. However, I'm going to still take a look at it, even though I know there are limitations. But what I found was still weird. All right. Once again, I want to see more data. And you can't necessarily draw a conclusion from this, but what I found was quite interesting. All right. So I used this over here. You enter the data. How many of the numbers start with digit 1, digit 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9? And what I did was I took basically the net income. Okay. I first looked at it from 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay. I looked at all the years before one of the individuals died, and where the numbers seem to be, if you look at Simon's videos, the numbers seem to be appropriate. Sure, some fraud may have gone down, but it didn't look like it. I used the Benford law calculator here, and basically I entered the data, right? Digit 1, 3, digit 2, 3 times, and digit 3. And you could see that the first number, which one starts with 1? Okay, from event year 2010 to 2016. There's 1 here. There's another 1, and there's another 1. So that's 3, okay? If you go with 2 digits, it's 2. It's actually 3, sorry. This, and then over there, 3. Now, once again, the limitation is you don't have a large sample size, but in the normal distribution, you will see that these digits tend to start with, the 1s, and then it goes on to the 2s. Now, it's not, once again, a normal distribution, but what I found quite interesting, when I looked at the numbers from here, this seemed weird. Like I said, this was a 0, okay? And I looked at the distribution. Which one started with 1s? Which one started with 2s? Which one started with 3s? Here's the crazy part here. So if you look at it, there's the digit 1, there's only 1. And you know which year it's had 1? It was the year of COVID, where this may have seemed like a legitimate net income of negative 1,500. So the first digit is 1, right? And that's the only one. Digit 2, you see this starts with number 2, and this starts with number 2. So there's 2. Okay. And then digit 3, there's 1 here, where this seems really weird. And one thing to note is that majority of the expenses were from the trade show expense category on the income statement, okay? And then you go all the way to digit 7 is 1. Okay, over there. So if you look at the distribution is not normal. because you have most of the amounts with 2, starting with 2. And if you also look at it, this is a 0. So weird numbers once again. This starts with a 0 in event year 2017. The only time you will see the first digit as 1 is the year of COVID. And you don't see the digit 1 at all in these years. Now, one may say, hey, look, you don't have a large enough sample size. True. But with this small sample size over here, okay, we had how many instances of 1s? Well, someone may argue, well, the revenue and the expenses were pretty much in line. Okay, that is true. Someone may argue that. But once again, with the numbers that you see down here, you would see a different distribution of the net income. And what I have issue with, like, once again, this starts with 0 and you don't see any other net income starting with 1. So that's just my observation. The only way to prove that if any hanky panky went down is an actual audit of the financials. And also looking at where the cash went. Because in this video, I'm going to go to it right now. Yeah, he had this. He had where, go back to this. Yeah, net assets where he had here. Okay. So most people have no clue that in 2020. All right. So anyways, as the commercial passes by, let's skip this ad here. Hey, when it does that. But anyways, the net assets stay the same. Revenue went up. Basically, the cash stayed the same because they were paying, they got the cash from the revenue. So all these people went in and paid the money. All right. And then they paid the money out to in a bucket called trade show expense. Majority of the expenses went to trade show expense. Okay. And he shows it in these slides over here, and you could take a look at it. Once again, I want them to audit this and provide, hey, what makes this number here, this 3.209 million in trade show expense? I did show, once again, the Benford law, not enough sample size, but what's consisting of it? And why did it go up so much? Who are they paying? Does it mean that they engage in fraud? No. But at the same time, how on earth do you come up with basically a 0 amount in profit? Makes no sense whatsoever. And the other thing that doesn't make any sense at all, is the fact that over here, you have, the first digit, you have multiple 1s. Okay. Over here, you don't have any net profit that starts with 1. And the only time you have the net profit start with 1, because that's what it should be in a normal distribution, The only time you had this starting with the one was during the year of COVID. Go figure. Where it probably wouldn't make sense to do hanky panky. I was talking to Pancake Analytics about this, and we're just thinking, like, what on earth happened? Were they using the money that they had, the extra money, and were they just buying cards for themselves? This is a legitimate question to ask. I want to see their transactions. But once again, nothing may be happening, right? The only way to prove it is not with the Benford law, is not with what we see over here, is what transactions transpired and where did the cash go? Because compared to a decade ago, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense at all. I did email them. I'm curious to hear what they say. Anyways, let me know what you think. Am I looking at this in the wrong way? Any people that are experienced in fraud detection, I would like to hear what they have to say. Is there any other metric to determine fraud? What I can tell you, once again, I'll repeat this again. This zero amount seems weird. I prepared financial statements for over the past decade. Never seen this. The only thing that has looked weird in my experience in terms of numbers is one time when I was at a small company, the cash did not change day over day. And there were numerous transactions in that bank account. And it happened to be the same number. The controller asked me, hey, you sent the wrong cash. I said, no, it's the same cash. You just happen to see the same number, which was weird. So there are coincidences where something happens, but this does not, it's, in my opinion, there's some hanky panky going on. The only way to prove it is I need to see what transactions went through, but that's not going to happen. Only the IRS will be able to do that, in my opinion, because these guys are probably not going to want us to see their books. Anyways, let me know what you think, and I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.